The morning on Xylaria was calm and bright, the three suns casting soft golden light across the floating towers and cascading gardens. The city hummed with energy, alive and vibrant, a reflection of the recent changes brought by human ingenuity. Princess Lyra walked alongside Ethan through the palace gardens, her mind filled with thoughts of the days and weeks that had passed. The human ambassador had proven his brilliance time and time again, earning the respect of scholars, citizens, and even the council. But this day was different. Today, Lyra and Ethan would address the council together, proposing a new era of cooperation between humans and Xylarians. Lyra turned to him, a soft smile on her face. "Are you ready?" she asked. Ethan nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be. But I'm not alone. That makes all the difference." They entered the Grand Council chamber where the senior advisors and scholars awaited. The air was tense but filled with anticipation. Many still remembered the public demonstration, when Ethan had combined human intuition with Xylarian's technology to stabilize the energy grid. That event had changed opinions, but some cautious minds still needed reassurance. Lyra stepped forward, her voice clear and commanding. "Esteemed council members, we have witnessed the benefits of combining human creativity with Xylarian's wisdom. Today, Ethan and I propose a permanent partnership, one that allows our peoples to share knowledge, learn from each other, and create a stronger future together." Murmurs filled the chamber. Some nodded in agreement while others remained silent, skeptical. Ethan spoke next, his tone calm but confident. "I came to Xylaria as a visitor, unsure of what to expect. I have seen your incredible knowledge, your discipline, and your care for your world. And I have shared what humans can offer, different ways of seeing, imagining, and solving problems. Together we can achieve more than either of us could alone." The chamber was quiet, the advisors listening carefully. One by one, Ethan highlighted examples of their recent successes, stabilizing the energy core, unlocking the ancient archives, and improving the city's systems. He explained how collaboration had led to solutions that neither species could have developed on their own. "Your people taught me precision," Ethan said, "and I hope I've shown you that human imagination can complement it. We are not the same, but our differences can become our greatest strength." Lyra placed a hand on his arm, showing her support. "I can attest to his brilliance," she said. "I have seen firsthand how he thinks, how he learns, and how he inspires others. The partnership we propose is not just about technology. It is about mutual respect, understanding, and growth." For a moment, the chamber was silent. Then Advisor Verrill, the same council leader who had challenged Ethan during the public demonstration, rose. His expression was thoughtful, his voice steady. "Human ingenuity has proven itself beyond doubt," he said. "Ethan has shown courage, creativity, and insight. He has not only saved our city, but has also improved it. We may have doubted him at first, but there is no longer any reason to do so. I support this partnership." The chamber erupted in agreement. Other advisors voiced their support, and soon the entire council had given their consent. Humans and Xylarians would work together, side by side, for the first time in history. Lyra felt a swell of pride and joy. She turned to Ethan, who smiled warmly at her. "You've done it," she said softly. "We've done it," he corrected, holding her gaze. "Together." The people of Xylaria celebrated the announcement with a festival that lit up the floating gardens and towers. Lights shimmered like rivers of stars, and energy drones flew above, casting patterns across the sky. Citizens gathered in the streets to witness the new era, while humans and Xylarians worked side by side to demonstrate the benefits of cooperation. Ethan and Lyra walked among them, greeting the people and sharing in their excitement. Children marveled at Ethan's human devices, while elders spoke of the wisdom they had learned from combining knowledge with fresh ideas. Everywhere there was laughter, curiosity, and the quiet thrill of discovery. During the festival, Ethan was approached by a group of young Xylarians, eager to learn more about human methods of problem-solving. "How do you humans think of solutions?" one asked. Ethan knelt to meet their eyes. "We try to see problems in new ways," he explained. "Sometimes that means making mistakes. Sometimes it means asking questions no one else thought to ask. But the important part is to keep learning and to work together." The children nodded eagerly, inspired. Lyra watched, her heart full. She realized that Ethan's presence was more than just helpful. It was transformative. Humans, once underestimated, were now seen as partners, capable of shaping the future. As the night of the festival deepened, the 3 moons rose over Xylaria, casting soft light across the city. Ethan and Lyra found a quiet balcony away from the celebrations and looked out at the glowing towers. "You've changed everything," Lyra said, her voice filled with awe. "I once thought humans were fragile, harmless. But you've proven otherwise," Ethan smiled. "I've only done what humans do best. Look for new ways to solve problems, work with others, and keep trying. The real strength comes from combining our abilities with yours." Lyra leaned close, resting her hand on his arm. "And I've learned that strength isn't only about rules, power, or knowledge. It's also about curiosity, courage, and heart. You've shown me that." Ethan's eyes reflected the moonlight. "And you've shown me that structure, wisdom, and care are just as important. Together we can build something neither of us could have done alone." They stood silently for a moment, watching the city below. The festival lights shimmered like liquid gold, reflecting in the pools and streams of the palace gardens. The air vibrated softly with energy, alive with promise. Lyra thought back to the day she had first met Ethan, the quiet, kind human who had seemed so fragile. She remembered her doubts, her cautious curiosity, and now she knew better. Humans were not weak. They were not harmless. They were capable of brilliance, creativity, and resilience. And when they worked with others, anything was possible. "Do you think the people of Earth would be proud of what we've done here?" Ethan asked with a grin. Lyra laughed softly. "They would be amazed. And perhaps a little jealous," Ethan chuckled. "Maybe, but it's not about pride. It's about building something that lasts, something that benefits everyone, no matter where they come from." The night stretched on, quiet and peaceful. The 3 moons glowed softly, and the floating towers shimmered with renewed energy. The partnership between humans and Xylarians was no longer a possibility. It was a reality. Together they would explore new ideas, create new technologies, and discover new ways to understand the universe. Lyra turned to Ethan. "We've only just begun," she said. Ethan smiled, his hand finding hers. "And I can't wait to see where we go next." The stars above Xylaria sparkled like distant promises, each one a symbol of opportunity, curiosity, and hope. Humanity had arrived not as conquerors but as learners, thinkers, and partners. They had proven that even the smallest or seemingly harmless beings could change the destiny of a civilization. Princess Lyra looked at her husband, no longer fragile or ordinary in her eyes, but extraordinary in every way. She knew that together, they had begun a journey that would reshape not only Xylaria, but the way the universe saw humans forever. And as the night deepened and the city thrummed with life, both human and alien felt it, the beginning of a new era where curiosity, courage, and collaboration would guide the path forward. The human who had once seemed harmless was now a symbol of hope, unity, and endless possibilities. For Xylaria, for humanity, and for the galaxy beyond, the future was brighter than ever. The stars shimmered beyond the massive windows of the palace, casting a soft glow over the corridors. The palace itself hovered above a swirling gas giant, its surface alive with storms that raged endlessly. From a distance, it looked peaceful, almost serene, but inside, tension thrummed like a heartbeat. Captain Marcus Hale, a human security officer, stepped carefully onto the polished floor. His boots echoed lightly, a sound that seemed foreign to the alien guards flanking him. The humans were visitors here, fragile creatures in the eyes of the alien race that ruled this sector of space. Most of the guards barely looked at him, their long, elegant limbs moving with both suspicion and disdain. Marcus's eyes, sharp and observant, scanned the corridors. Something didn't feel right. He could sense it in the subtle vibrations of the palace, the tiny shifts in energy, the faint hum of the security systems. Nothing alarming yet. But he had learned long ago that waiting until danger was obvious was often too late. Ahead, Queen Alara stood on her balcony, overlooking the gas giant below. Her form was graceful, alien in every sense, with elongated features and shimmering skin that reflected the lights of the palace. Her eyes, large and luminous, seemed to pierce the very air around her. Yet even she appeared uneasy, her hands clasped tightly as if trying to hold back a storm of worry. "Captain Hale," one of the human delegates said softly, breaking Marcus's focus. Is everything secure?" Marcus nodded, though he did not lower his guard. "Not completely," he admitted. "Something is coming. I can feel it. The alien guards overheard his words and exchanged worried glances. To them, humans were cautious, yes, but not as instinctively aware of danger as their species. They whispered among themselves, voices tight with fear, unsure whether to trust Marcus's intuition or dismiss it. A sudden alarm rang through the palace, a low, vibrating pulse that shook the walls. The alien guards immediately stiffened, their long limbs moving in rapid, rehearsed patterns. Panic flashed in their eyes, an emotion that rarely touched them. Marcus, however, remained calm. "They're approaching," he said quietly, almost to himself. "We need to act." Before anyone could respond, the palace doors shuddered violently. A faint blue light streaked through the hallways, followed by a pulse of energy that knocked a nearby console loose. Alien guards scattered, some running for the queen, others retreating toward defensive posts. The humans froze for a moment, unsure of what to do. Marcus did not hesitate. He moved forward, scanning the area for threats. His training, honed through years of missions in harsh environments, kicked in instinctively. The attackers were skilled, using stealth and technology that even some of the aliens found impressive. Yet Marcus knew he could use the palace itself as a weapon. He could think faster than they expected. "Stay behind me," he said to the nearest humans. "We're moving to the inner hallways. Keep low, keep quiet." The humans obeyed without question, their trust in Marcus growing with each step. He had earned a reputation for calm in chaos, a rarity among humans who were often underestimated for their size and physical strength. But it was not strength alone that made him dangerous. It was his mind, quick and unyielding. The palace corridors were vast and intricate, lined with shimmering panels and delicate structures that could be weaponized with the right knowledge. Marcus memorized their layout as he moved, noting points of advantage. If the attackers followed, he would lead them into traps they never anticipated. Meanwhile, Queen Alara's eyes followed Marcus from the balcony. She had witnessed many battles in her long life, but there was something different about this human. Unlike the alien guards who relied on protocol and instinct, Marcus thought several steps ahead. He did not panic, and in his calm, she saw the possibility of hope. Suddenly, a section of the corridor ahead exploded in a shower of sparks and broken panels. A group of enemy drones had breached the palace defenses. Alien guards hesitated, frozen in fear. Marcus gritted his teeth. "This way," he called, motioning for the humans to follow him through a side passage. They moved quickly, hearts pounding, but trusting Marcus's every decision. As they ran, Marcus activated a series of overrides he had studied earlier. Energy shields hummed to life in certain corridors, while traps silently clicked into place. When the drones followed, they would be met not with open confrontation, but with the clever, calculated resistance Marcus could create on the fly. The Queen's voice echoed through the palace comms, tight with concern. "Captain Hale, you think you can protect them?" Marcus did not turn, his eyes scanning every corner. "I don't think," he said firmly. "I know." The humans behind him whispered among themselves. They were impressed, though a bit afraid. Marcus's confidence was unlike anything they had seen. The alien guards, meanwhile, were beginning to murmur in astonishment. They had always assumed that humans were fragile, unreliable in high-stakes situations. Marcus was proving them wrong, and it unsettled them. The side corridors twisted in ways that disoriented most invaders. Marcus used this to his advantage, placing energy nets and subtle traps. When the drones appeared, they were met with an unexpected resistance. Some were trapped, others were disabled, and the rest scattered in confusion. The humans reached a small observation deck that overlooked the palace's inner energy core. It was a strategic location, and Marcus immediately began reinforcing it. Makeshift barricades, energy pulses to alert him to movement, and a careful positioning of humans who could assist in minor ways all came together under his guidance. The Queen arrived shortly after, her presence both calming and inspiring to those who had fled before. She stood beside Marcus, her gaze steady, her trust evident. "You are unlike any human I have ever known," she said softly, almost in awe. "Why do you not fear them?" Marcus allowed himself a brief glance at her. "Fear slows you down. Observation speeds you up," he replied. "I see what they cannot, and I act where others hesitate." A distant rumble signaled the approach of larger enemy forces. The palace shivered under the vibrations of their engines. Alien guards were nowhere to be seen. They had abandoned their posts in panic, yet Marcus did not flinch. He studied the approaching threats with a tactical mind honed from years of experience. He turned to the humans nearby. Listen carefully. Stay quiet. Stay sharp. Follow my instructions and we survive this together. Their nods were hesitant but determined. They had learned one simple truth about Marcus. He never panicked. And in this moment, that trait was more valuable than any weapon or technology. The first wave of attackers entered the palace proper. Marcus moved like a shadow among them, using the environment to his advantage. Doors slammed, lights flickered, and automated traps activated in precise sequences. Each enemy he faced was met with strategy, not brute force. The Queen watched, her respect for this human growing with every calculated move. Where her own guards had scattered in fear, Marcus had created order from chaos, turning panic into preparation. Finally, after a tense series of maneuvers, the immediate threat subsided. Drones were disabled or forced to retreat, giving Marcus and the humans a moment to breathe. The Queen approached him, her expression a mix of relief and admiration. "You stayed," she said, her voice quiet but firm. "When everyone else ran, you stayed." Marcus allowed himself a small nod. "Someone had to," he said simply, "and someone had to protect you." The human delegates, still catching their breath, exchanged looks of awe. They had never seen courage like this. And the alien guards, hearing reports of Marcus's actions, would soon understand that humans were far more capable than they had ever imagined. Marcus looked back toward the palace entrance, where distant sounds of enemy engines still echoed faintly. This was only the beginning. The threat was far from over. But for now he had done what he could. He had stayed, and he had protected the Queen. And in that moment, among the glowing panels and the hum of alien technology, one undeniable truth became clear. Humans, even small and underestimated, could stand against the greatest dangers of the galaxy, and they could do so with courage, strategy, and heart. The desert night was alive with shadows. Captain Lyra HFY's patrol camp glowed faintly under the Zephyrian lamps, casting long, sharp silhouettes across the sand. Every officer and her team moved carefully, their scanners constantly sweeping the dunes. But no sensor could capture what the human warrior was doing. Out there in the darkness, using the desert itself as a shield, moving with uncanny precision. Lyra stood on a small ridge, overlooking the camp. Her mind replayed the day's events over and over. One human alone had disabled drones, evaded patrols, and disappeared into the night without leaving a trace. Her pride, her certainty in the superiority of the Zephyrian fleet had been shattered. For the first time, she questioned everything she had believed about humans. "Captain," Kyle said, approaching quietly, "our drones are reporting interference again. Systems fluctuate when the human moves near. It's almost as if it anticipates us." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Anticipates us?" "Perhaps it is intelligent, yes, but predictive strategy alone does not explain its speed and stealth. There must be another factor, something we do not yet understand." Kyle shook his head. "Whatever it is, it's beyond normal reasoning. It's clever, adaptable. It reads our movements before we make them." Lyra took a deep breath. "Then we adapt. Observation only will teach us so much. Tomorrow we attempt controlled engagement. I need to see its abilities up close. We need to know what we face." The rest of the night passed slowly. The crew barely slept, taking turns monitoring the scanners. Lyra remained vigilant, replaying the traces and movements in her mind, searching for patterns. She had always trusted logic and preparation, but this human seemed to operate outside both. The following morning, the desert seemed almost peaceful. Golden sunlight spread across the dunes, yet the air was tense. Zephyrian patrols moved carefully, scanning the landscape, while Lyra coordinated their approach from the ridge. Then, a distant shimmer caught her eye. Movement. The human warrior was there, standing atop a dune, calm and watchful, eyes scanning the approaching patrol. Lyra felt a chill run down her spine. The figure's posture was simple, unassuming, but the aura of control it projected was unmistakable. "Hold formation," Lyra ordered. "Observe, do not fire first. We need intelligence." The human did not move immediately. It waited, assessing, and then, as if deciding to test its opponents, it struck. A sandstorm erupted in the distance, sudden and violent. Dunes shifted, kicking up dust that blinded the Zephyrian patrols. From within the storm, the human warrior moved like a shadow, disappearing and reappearing at will. Patrol drones attempted to follow, but one by one they faltered, disabled by unseen precision strikes. Lyra's heart pounded. Incredible. It uses the environment as a weapon. The storm itself is part of its strategy. Kale swallowed hard. Captain, it's predicting our moves. Controlling the battlefield. Lyra clenched her jaw. Not controlling, Lieutenant, anticipating, observing. It uses instinct and intellect together. This is human advantage, pure and unrelenting. The patrol scattered slightly under the human's onslaught, avoiding unnecessary engagement, but careful not to retreat. Lyra realized she had to intervene before her team suffered casualties, or worse, before they underestimated the human further. Prepare the defensive barriers, she ordered. Keep distance. Force it to engage on our terms. The human warrior stopped briefly atop a dune, observing the Zephyrians setting up their defenses. Its gaze was sharp, calculating, almost curious. It seemed to study not only their equipment but their movements, their body language, and their reactions. Then it advanced, methodical, precise. Not recklessly, but with perfect judgment. The first patrol drone moved toward it, attempting an intercept. The human dodged effortlessly, moving faster than any Zephyrian could follow. With a single motion, it disabled the drone without damaging it completely, leaving the Zephyrians stunned. Every strike, every maneuver demonstrated skill that Lyra had never imagined in any species, let alone in one so supposedly primitive. Stop. Lyra shouted, raising her hand. Observe, do not engage unless necessary. This is a lesson, not a battle. The human paused, tilting its head slightly as if acknowledging her command. Then, in a subtle but unmistakable display of skill, it disappeared into the dunes once more, leaving only footprints that told a story of speed, strength, and precision. Kyle shook his head in disbelief. Captain, one human alone has outmaneuvered our patrols, disabled multiple drones, and never shows aggression. This is incredible. Lyra's pride twisted in her chest. She had spent her life believing in Zephyrian superiority, in flawless strategy and unmatched skill. Yet here was one human proving her wrong in every way. The day continued. The human warrior struck from shadows, appearing and disappearing, testing Zephyrian patrols without inflicting real harm. It disarmed traps, neutralized drones, and moved in ways that seemed almost impossible. Lyra's team watched in awe, recording every moment for analysis. By midday, Lyra realized something crucial. This human was not just strong or fast, it was intelligent, adaptable, and disciplined. Every action had purpose, every maneuver was calculated. Unlike other species they had encountered, it did not panic or act recklessly. It thought, learned, and adjusted in real time. Lyra's admiration and fear grew with every passing moment. The stories she had mocked as fairy tales were not exaggerations. Humans were not only real, they were extraordinary. During a brief pause, Lyra approached Kale. Tell me, Lieutenant, do you think it would be able to defeat a full Zephyrian squadron? Kale hesitated. Captain, I think it could. Not by brute force, but by outthinking us. One human could create chaos, evade capture, and perhaps even destroy a squadron with strategy alone. Lyra exhaled slowly. Pride and doubt battled within her, and we dismissed them as myths. We called them weak, incapable, primitive. And yet one human has shown more skill, more intelligence, and more courage than entire units of our fleet. Kale nodded solemnly. Captain, we underestimated them. That was our mistake, and it could have cost us dearly. Lyra's gaze returned to the distant dunes. The human warrior had paused again, standing atop a ridge watching them. Its presence was quiet yet commanding, like a living legend made flesh. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt a deep respect for another species, one she had never thought to admire. The patrol returned to camp by evening, careful to avoid unnecessary engagement. The human warrior had vanished again, leaving no trace beyond disturbed sand and the undeniable evidence of its skill. The Zephyrian crew was shaken but enlightened. Lyra stood alone on the ridge looking toward the horizon. The desert was quiet, but she knew the human was still out there. This was no ordinary opponent. It was a being who could outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast any Zephyrian. She realized the stories were not just true, they were understatement. Humanity was exceptional, perhaps more than any species she had encountered. And the human warrior, solitary and calm, had demonstrated the strength of an entire people in a single day. Lyra's mind raced with possibilities. Could humans be allies? Could they be a threat? Or were they beyond comprehension altogether? She did not know, and the uncertainty thrilled and terrified her in equal measure. Night fell over the desert. The wind carried the chill of the dunes, whispering through the tents of the Zephyrian camp. Lyra remained on the ridge, staring at the shadows, replaying every move of the human warrior in her mind. Every strike, every dodge, every calculated step. Finally, she spoke aloud, though no one heard. One human, one warrior, has shown more than I could have imagined. Perhaps it is time we stop underestimating them. The crew watched from below, sensing the shift in their captain. Lyra had always been confident, unshakable, and proud. Yet here she was, humbled by a single human warrior. And for the first time she wondered what humanity could truly accomplish if provoked, or if inspired. The desert night was silent, but it held a promise. A promise that humanity, clever, resilient, and bold, was far more than legend. And Lyra knew that tomorrow, when the sun rose again, the lessons of this day would only grow deeper. The human warrior had shown the first signs of its true power, and the Zephyrians would never forget it. The city of Calathar had not forgotten the humans' performance in the challenge. Whispers filled the air, some filled with admiration, others with resentment. Many aliens could not accept that beings so small and from such a distant world could show skill and bravery far beyond what they had imagined. Among these dissenters was a faction led by Lord Virel, a powerful noble who saw the humans as a threat to his influence. He had lost face when the humans succeeded in the challenge, and his prestige had been slightly diminished. He would not allow it to go unanswered. Lyra walked through the city streets, her mind still restless. Though she would not admit it, the humans' abilities weighed on her thoughts. She had expected them to fail, to stumble, to embarrass themselves, but they had done none of that. Her pride had suffered, though she would never tell anyone. Lyra, a familiar voice called, startling her. It was Marin, one of her closest friends. Do you see what I mean? They cannot be trusted. They do not belong here. Lord Virel is planning something. I overheard him with his council this morning. Lyra's curiosity was piqued, though she masked it. What kind of plan? She asked casually, though her heart beat faster. They intend to sabotage the humans during the next council event, Marin whispered. They think if the humans fail publicly, all their respect will vanish. They want to make them look weak, expose them as frauds. Lyra frowned. A strange mix of anger and intrigue rose inside her. Part of her wanted the humans to succeed on their own merit, but another part worried for their safety. She could not yet admit that she cared for their well-being, but the thought lingered. Meanwhile, Captain Elias prepared his squad. We will be observed again today, he said quietly. Remain alert. We do not yet know what challenges they may set. Some may not be fair, but our job is to respond intelligently as always. The humans' discipline and calm made the alien onlookers uneasy. They expected panic, confusion, or mistakes, but none appeared. Elias's squad moved in formation as they approached the council grounds. Lord Virel watched from his elevated platform, a small smirk on his face. Watch carefully, he said to his followers. They will stumble. They will fail. When they do, we will expose them and restore the natural order. No human has the right to challenge our people. The council's next event began in the great arena, a vast open field filled with obstacles and complex devices designed to test skill, strength, and wit. Aliens from all over the city gathered to witness the humans' performance. Lyra watched from the balcony, her hands clenched. She felt an unfamiliar tension in her chest. She wanted to see the humans fail, not just because of her pride, but because of what it would mean if they truly succeeded again. Could she admit that they might be better than she had imagined? The humans entered the arena, moving with the same calm precision they had shown before. Each step was calculated, each decision deliberate. They communicated quietly, gestures and soft words guiding the squad through the obstacles. Lord Virel's faction had prepared a trap. Hidden mechanisms beneath the ground could release spikes or nets to capture the humans. One of his agents, a sly and cunning alien, pressed a concealed control, ready to activate the trap when the humans reached the center of the arena. But the humans were not careless. Elias had anticipated the possibility of sabotage. He scanned the ground, noted unusual patterns, and signaled his squad to proceed carefully. When the trap was activated, the squad moved as one, avoiding it completely. The crowd gasped. What had been expected to be a moment of humiliation for the humans had instead become a display of skill and awareness. Lyra's jaw tightened. She had thought they would be caught, tripped, or entangled, but they moved as if they had expected every danger. Lord Varel's face flushed with anger. "Impossible," he whispered. "No human could anticipate such mechanisms. They must have spies or some secret knowledge." Lyra's mind raced. She realized what she had already begun to suspect. These humans were not ordinary. They were disciplined, intelligent, and fearless in ways no alien had expected. She could not deny their abilities any longer. The humans reached the center of the arena, where a series of complex puzzles awaited. Symbols, levers, and energy panels were arranged to test problem-solving skills. Lord Varel expected them to fail, to fumble, to waste precious time. Elias examined the puzzles carefully, noting patterns and timing. He communicated silently with his squad, and together they solved each puzzle with efficiency and precision. The panels lit up one by one, signaling success. Lyra's hands clenched into fists. She had expected chaos, but instead, she saw coordination, intelligence, and patience. The humans moved through the challenges without haste or prideful display. They acted with honor and care, never taking unnecessary risks and never seeking to humiliate their observers. High Matron Lyra, standing quietly at the edge of the arena, watched with a faint smile. She had seen many things in her long life, but the humans' combination of courage, discipline, and humility was extraordinary. She glanced at Lyra. Her daughter's pride was battling with a truth she could not yet speak aloud. These humans were exceptional. Suddenly, one of Lord Varel's hidden agents attempted a more direct act of sabotage. A mechanical platform was set to collapse under the humans' weight, but Elias had anticipated this as well. With a single gesture, the squad shifted their positions, balancing carefully and moving forward without triggering the mechanism. The humans reached the final obstacle, a massive door that required multiple levers to open simultaneously. Each lever was on a different level, requiring coordination and teamwork. Most species would have struggled, but the humans acted with practiced efficiency. Lyra could not believe her eyes. "This cannot be real," she whispered. She watched as the humans pressed each lever in perfect harmony, the door slowly opening to reveal a raised platform at the center of the arena. The crowd erupted in astonished cheers. Aliens who had mocked them now stared in disbelief. Lord Varel's face was pale with anger. Every attempt to humiliate the humans had failed. Instead, their skill, intelligence, and unity had only become more evident. Lyra's mind struggled with what she had witnessed. Pride, jealousy, and frustration fought with a growing admiration she could not yet admit. These humans had faced sabotage, traps, and unexpected dangers, and they had triumphed with honor. High Matron Lyra stepped forward, addressing the crowd. "Let this be a lesson to all," she said. "Strength is not measured by size nor by pride or wealth. True strength is shown in courage, unity, intelligence, and honor. These humans have demonstrated all these qualities today." Lyra's heart pounded. She had wanted to ridicule them, to prove them weak, but she could not. Their actions had shattered every expectation she had held. She felt an unfamiliar emotion, a mixture of respect, awe, and humility. Elias bowed to the High Matron, then to the crowd. "We are honored to have completed your challenge," he said calmly. "We do not seek glory, only understanding and the chance to demonstrate our abilities." Lyra's eyes met his for a brief moment. In them she saw something she had not expected: honesty, courage, and humility. Her mind raced with questions. How could a species so small display such strength? How could they face danger without fear? How could they act with honor in a world that seemed determined to oppose them? As the humans exited the arena, Lyra's thoughts were unsettled. She had expected ridicule, yet she had witnessed greatness. Pride fought against her growing respect, and she realized that the humans had begun to change something inside her, a shift in perspective that she could not yet define. That night, the city of Calathar slept under the watchful gaze of its twin moons. Lyra remained in her chamber, replaying the events of the day in her mind. She knew that her opinion of the humans had shifted irrevocably. What she had once mocked, she now studied with a mixture of fascination and caution. High Matron Lyra entered quietly, observing her daughter. "Do you understand, Lyra?" she asked softly. "The path of judgment is easy. The path of observation and understanding is harder, but only those who learn can grow." Lyra did not answer immediately. She was lost in thought. Slowly she nodded, though pride still kept her from speaking aloud the admiration she felt. Tomorrow she knew there would be more tests, more challenges, and she would be forced to watch the humans again, not with mockery but with a mind that was slowly learning to see strength where she had not expected it. The humans, too, rested under the stars. They had faced deceit, danger, and sabotage, yet they remained disciplined, calm, and united. For them, this was not just a challenge, it was a test of character, and they had passed with honor. And Lyra, who had once laughed at them, was beginning to understand something profound. The humans were more than legends. They were something greater. The Eltraxian flagship floated quietly among the stars. Inside its shining halls, the council gathered again. The ambassador stood before them, his tall frame casting a long shadow across the polished silver floor. For days, he had watched Earth. He had seen courage, kindness, and intelligence in the humans below. And now it was time to report what he had learned. "The humans," he began slowly, "are not what we expected." The council chamber was silent. Dozens of alien leaders, representing different worlds, each with their own histories and values, watched him closely. Some had bright eyes that shimmered like glass. Others had smooth shells that reflected the soft light of the room. One council member, a broad being from the planet Valar, spoke first. "Not what you expected? Explain, Ambassador." The ambassador nodded, his expression calm but serious. "We believed them to be primitive. We thought them fragile and simple. But their actions show something deeper. They adapt quickly. They protect not only their own kind but other creatures. They solve problems with creativity and compassion." A whisper spread through the room. Some members seemed intrigued. Others appeared doubtful. Another member, a tall and crystalline being named Soren, leaned forward. "You speak as if they are extraordinary. But what evidence do you have that they are not dangerous?" The ambassador took a deep breath. "They are capable of destruction, yes. But so is every species that reaches a certain level of intelligence. The difference is that humans often choose cooperation over domination. When challenged, they unite. When threatened, they protect others, not just themselves." Krelak, the ambassador's aide, stood quietly beside him, holding a small holographic device. With a tap, Krelak activated the recordings. Images and sounds gathered from Earth during the observation. Scenes appeared in mid-air. Humans working together to fix the broken bridge, rescuing trapped animals, stabilizing the malfunctioning alien ship, and comforting one another through each challenge. The council members watched in silence. "These are not isolated incidents," the ambassador said. "These acts were spontaneous. No orders, no rewards, just choice." A council member from the planet Drivar crossed his arms. "Choice or instinct? Many creatures show kindness within their own kind." The ambassador nodded slightly. "True, but humans show kindness even to those outside their kind. They help animals. They repair machines. They even show care toward things they build as though giving them meaning. Their empathy extends beyond simple survival." The room remained quiet. The council members exchanged thoughtful glances. After a moment, Soren spoke again. "If they are so compassionate, why have they fought wars among themselves?" The ambassador's voice was calm. "They have made mistakes, many, but they learn from them. Their history is not perfect, but it is filled with stories of recovery, forgiveness, and progress. When they fall, they rise again. That is what makes them remarkable," the council murmured among themselves. Some were convinced. Others were not. The debate began to grow louder. "They could be a threat," one said. "If their courage grows without control, they may challenge us one day." "Or they could become an ally," said another. "Their compassion could bring balance to the galaxy." The ambassador listened to the arguments, his thoughts heavy. He knew both sides had truth in them. Humans were unpredictable, capable of great kindness but also great mistakes. Still, he believed their potential for good outweighed the danger. Finally, the High Counselor, an ancient being with skin like shimmering mist, raised her hand. Silence fell across the room. "Ambassador," she said gently, "you have seen them more closely than anyone. What do you believe should be done?" The ambassador looked around the chamber, his clear eyes reflecting the stars. "I believe," he said slowly, "that we must not interfere. Humanity must continue to grow on its own. They are not ready for contact, but neither should they be ignored. Their progress must be watched carefully with respect. One day they will reach the stars. When they do, we must be ready to meet them not as masters or judges, but as equals." His words hung in the air. The council was silent once again. Krelak glanced at his mentor, then back at the gathered leaders. "Humans have already proven something," he added quietly. "They protect life without knowing they are being watched. Imagine what they could do when they know they are not alone." The High Counselor nodded slowly. "Perhaps you are right, Ambassador. Perhaps they are different, but not all agreed." A sharp voice broke the calm. "Different? Or dangerous? Compassion can be powerful, but power can also lead to pride. What if they misuse their gifts? What if they turn their intelligence into destruction?" The ambassador met the speaker's gaze. "Then it will be our duty to guide them, if they will accept it. But if we fear them before understanding them, then we become the very threat we hope to prevent." The High Counselor closed her eyes for a moment, deep in thought. Finally she spoke. "The Council will consider your report. Until then, no interference with Earth is permitted. Observation only." The decision was made. The meeting ended. One by one, the Council members left the chamber, their minds filled with questions about the small blue planet called Earth. When the room was quiet again, Krelak turned to the ambassador. "Do you think they will agree with you?" The ambassador looked out through the large glass window, where Earth shone brightly against the dark backdrop of space. "Some will, some will not. But truth does not need approval, it only needs time." He stood silently for a while, his thoughts deep and heavy. The humans had shown him something he had not expected to find in all his years of studying civilizations. Hope. Not the hope of perfection, but the hope born from imperfection. The ability to grow, to change, and to care even in darkness. "Do you think they will ever know about us?" Krelak asked softly. The ambassador smiled faintly. "Someday, yes. And when that day comes, I hope they see us not as watchers, but as friends." Outside, the stars shimmered like distant candles. Earth rotated slowly, glowing blue and green beneath the soft sunlight. The ambassador could almost imagine the humans below, walking, building, helping, and dreaming. He whispered almost to himself, "Are all Earth creatures like that?" Krelak looked up at him. "Perhaps not all, Ambassador, but enough to make a difference." The ambassador nodded. "Yes, enough." That night, as the ship drifted silently among the stars, the ambassador recorded his final thoughts in the official log. His voice was calm but filled with emotion. "Humans are a paradox of strength and gentleness, intelligence and innocence. They make mistakes but strive to learn. They stumble but rise again. Their compassion extends beyond reason, and their creativity knows no bounds. They are unpredictable, but in their unpredictability lies their greatest strength. They are not perfect, but perhaps perfection is not what the universe needs. Perhaps it needs hearts like theirs." When he finished recording, the ambassador looked once more at the glowing Earth below. A sense of quiet respect filled his heart. He whispered softly, "Are all Earth creatures like that?" This time Krelak smiled faintly and replied, "Maybe that question is not for us to answer, Ambassador. Maybe it is for them to prove." The ambassador said nothing more. The ship continued its silent orbit, a witness to a world that did not yet know its own importance. And below, humanity carried on, still working, still dreaming, still showing every day that even small acts of kindness and courage could echo across the stars.